Hello everyone, it's Junie checking back in for you. This is a video regarding a heartbreaking case of a young girl that was found bound. Her hands were tied behind her back. She was decapitated. She was wearing a yellow sweater, and this was in 1983 in St. Louis, Michigan. We have not been able to find any DNA, any matching information for this child, so we are going to try to look at the charts, and we did pull a few tarot cards for her last night as well. This is the most recent news clip that I found regarding this child.
Commander, Investigative Services. I'm here this morning to appeal to the public in helping to identify a case we identify as Baby Jane Doe. We'd like for you to think back to February 28, 1983. February 28, 1983, around noon, two men went into an apartment complex at 5635 Clemens, and located in the basement a headless 8 to 12-year-old female. The female was found bound, but there were no other injuries that could be observed. The victim was, in our belief, sexually assaulted. The victim had two coats of red and purple fingernail polish on her hands and was wearing a V-neck, long sleeve, yellow sweater. Further description of the victim: she was 8 to 11 years old, 4'10" to 5'4" tall, approximately 58 pounds. Again, this happened in 1983, so if anybody knows or can recollect a child going missing around that time, please notify us. This child at this time has been the youngest headless victim we've had in this area, and it's really imperative that we identify who this young lady was. At this point, we're still trying to identify her. We've not been able to locate any relatives at this time through DNA, but we're still working to try to obtain anybody or any relatives who may have known or remember a child going missing. At this point, we've enlisted outside agencies. We've done everything possible with the DNA evidence found at the scene and from the victim's body with our lab. So we've also eliminated over 20 other children, but still have not been able to identify who this young lady was. If anybody has any information, please contact 866-371-TIPS. That's 866-371-TIPS. There's a substantial reward if any information leads to the identification of this individual. Or contact the homicide office at homicidecoldcases@slmpd.org. That's homicide cold cases at slmpd.org.
Okay, so let's try and look at the crime charts and see if we're able to figure anything out. Due to the fact that we don't know how long her body was down there, it's really hard for me to narrow down a time frame, and dates is extremely important. What I notice off the bat is a female and a male in Aries. Aries can mean to be decapitated. It's the head. Aries is the ram, and it means that we're going to find injuries to the head area. Okay, so again, it's very difficult for me to even pull astrology on this child because we don't have an exact time frame. So I'm just going off when she was discovered. But from what I'm feeling is that there is a mother involved. We did get the Queen of Wands, and she did come out in reverse. So the Queen of Wands upright is a beautiful queen. She's a fire sign. She's confident. She's brave. She's, all together there. But when the Queen of Wands comes out in reverse, you don't notice that cat, the black cat at her feet until the card is in reversed. Once you notice that, your Queen of Wands is in reverse, you have a very unstable mother, or unstable woman in this person's life. I do believe that a mother is playing a role. I know that you've been feeling that it was a step parent or a foster parent. I'm not sure. I do feel like that maybe she was removed because there's an unstable mother, or she was with an unstable mother. I'm also feeling that, looking at these charts, that there might be a stepfather involved. The sun seems to be off, and the Aries in Mars is a lot of rage towards this kid. And maybe that the stepmother was in a custody battle with the actual father. For some reason, they cannot find any DNA on this child. Nothing on the clothes, nothing on the child's actual DNA. And that news clip that I showed you was from 2 years ago. So, I believe that I trust that the law enforcement has run all DNA on this child. So, when we look at the fixed stars, I was trying to look for a name to see if a name popped up. The stars do play a role in the day that we're born and the last breath that we take. So I was looking to try to find a name for you, Gemini, because Gemini is the one that brought this to my attention. She's asked a few times for me to look at this child, and I'm trying to do that now. I'd like to look at the stars and see if if any of these names feel for you. There's 2 names that I feel might be hers, or sound like her original name. I hope this brings a little bit of peace, and maybe we can give her a name from the stars. Okay, so I noticed that on the AC line, she did have the hunter, Orion, and his dog, Sirius, and showed up. These are fixed stars in the night sky. Also in the second house, she had Cancer, which makes me think that she may have been with family. And also on the AC line, she also had Cancer. So again, I feel like, okay, yes, she was in a house. She was found in an abandoned house or apartment building. But it also can hint that she was with family and could possibly be a matriarch, a female in her family. She's the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper played a role in the 8th house, and there are some fixed stars in between there that I wanted to look at. So these are some of the names that showed up on the charts, and you can decide which stars that sound like her name. Okay, so the first fixed star that I came across is Surma. That's a really pretty name. And then Nashira. There's a few more, but they're difficult to pronounce. So if you want to give me your email, I can send you some of the other names that show up on the chart, or you can just pinch your fingers and blow up these little frames of the fixed star chart, and you can see the names yourself. So I feel like there is a Shah or Shaira, Rihanna, something like that in her name, something along those lines. That her name might end in a somehow. That's just me speaking intuitively, and then looking at the star charts, it just makes me feel like there's a Tasha or a Naira, something like that in her name. it's so sad because this child is unidentified, no name, and died so horrifically. I mean, this was her funeral. It's a very sad situation for this child. Now, I do feel that we have an unstable mother. And if she was with foster care, she was with an unstable foster care parent. But with the cancer on parts of this chart that showed up even in the second house, can mean that, a mother basically looked at her child as a possession somehow. So there is cancer in the second house. Second house is like a possession, your possessions. So she didn't look at this child motherly. She looked at it as like a piece of property. And I do feel like she's with a stepfather, and that the father is not in the picture. The real father isn't in the picture. That she may have been in a custody battle, or that she was with the government somehow. There's hints of sexual assault, but it's just that they couldn't prove it because all that was dried up. They were unable to get confirmation if she was sexually assaulted, but they feel that she probably was sexually assaulted. I feel that she was as well. And just with the second house, like she's a piece of property, that she was abused. And there's just a lot of anger and rage between a man and a woman towards this child. And that showed up in Aries. So remember, Aries rules the head. And that's our decapitation right there. Also, Capricorn can be, physically decapitation, removing of body parts, cutting away of something with Capricorn as well. Capricorn also rules the government. So that the government may have been involved and that they may have been running from the law, or that CPS was involved somehow. And with the Grand Cross there in the middle of this chart, I think there's like 2 Grand Crosses that can show a little bit of unstableness as well. They said that they got all the DNA that they could have tried to recover off of this child. But with Mercury there, it makes me feel like there is a sibling, that there might be a sibling from either one of these parents. And I feel like it might be the father's side that we might eventually get a hit on this. That's just my intuitive feelings. I'm not sure. But that's just, again, guys, I don't claim to be psychic. I am intuitive, okay? But I'm not going to sit here and claim to be something that I'm not. And my gut feeling thinks that there is a sibling, and it's going to come out from the father's side. But that's just my gut instincts. Again, don't put all your eggs in one basket with me. This is just us looking at this on a spiritual level. It's just entertainment only. Anyway, I hope this helped. Blessings to you all. God bless you all. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye now.